Hey guys, Kevin here with eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Roadmaster Active Suspension Heavy Duty Custom Leaf Spring Enhancement Kit on our 2018 Chevy Silverado 1500. So this heavy duty custom leaf spring kit is going to be really good about mitigating any sag that you might experience when you're dropping in a heavy load. Maybe you're hauling your travel trailer, your fifth wheel, and you're just seeing just too big of a sag, and it's kind of forcing the front of your truck up and pulling your wheels off of the ground, which is going to affect your wear on your tires and your braking. So that's going to help mitigate that, along with our SumoSprings that our customer already has installed on his truck today. That's just going to overall together give you a better ride quality and better handling so that you maintain a safe and comfortable ride. All right, so one of the questions that we get a lot is if they can use the Roadmaster Active Suspension Custom Leaf Spring Kit along with either Timbrens or SumoSprings. So based on the mounting points here, that's going to be no issue at all. Our Roadmaster system is going to be sitting on the leaf spring itself, whereas the SumoSpring or any Timbren that you might decide to purchase is going to replace your factory bumper. So there's no reason that these will intertwine at all. You shouldn't be catching anything between the two. No problem at all using these together. These are really going to help support any loads that you put in the back of your truck, or if you're hauling your fifth wheel or travel trailer. They'll both help stabilize, level out your ride, and just give you overall better handling. So the installation of the Roadmaster Active Suspension Custom Leaf Spring Heavy Duty Kit is fairly simple. Really, all it is just removing one bolt and then replacing that bolt once you have the brackets in place, and then just tightening down this spring. So in all honesty, it could probably take you maybe just about a half hour. All right, now let's take some measurements before we add any weight in the bed of the truck, kind of see where we're sitting at. That way we have a good reference to start from. So sitting here in the back, we have a 39-inch measurement from the ground to our wheel well. That's really important to know, just so that we can make sure that our ride stays level, stays at that factory ride height once we do add that weight in. Let's go up front. We'll take a look at the measurement that we get up there. Our factory ride height is right at 37 7/8. So we'll have that to reference later on once we add some weight into the back of the truck here. All right, so now as you can see, we got our water tank in the bed. It weighs approximately 1,900 pounds. We're gonna take another measurement here. Now I do wanna say that this customer already has SumoSprings on their vehicle here, so we are not gonna see a full drop down because those SumoSprings are working to prevent that sag in the back of the truck here, but we do wanna stress that these are going to help mitigate some of your ride height level issues. But let's take a measurement now. We're sitting at about 37 1/4, and we were at 39 to begin with, so it dropped us down about 1 3/4 inches. So now let's go up front and we'll take another measurement and see where we're at. All right, so now up front we're gonna take our measurement. We started off at 37 7/8, and this has us sitting right at 38 inches. So we only rose up about 1/8 of an inch. That's not bad at all. Like I said before, it's real important. This is going to help prevent your rear wheels from taking the brunt of that weight, and then also putting too much pressure on your axle and your tires and wearing them down quicker than you would up front, and really it'll just help with your braking as well. All right, so now we're gonna do a little test course here. We got some bumps set up. We're gonna show you what it's like hauling this heavy weight in the bed of the truck. I do wanna stress again, we already have SumoSprings in, so they are gonna help out with the ride, but we want to just kind of show you what it's like without that extra leaf spring support, since those go for your bump stocks instead. So little bumpy, definitely not as bad in prior videos that I've had with a different 1500, just because we have those SumoSprings, but still a lot of bouncing around. As far as side to side movement, that water in that tank's gonna be moving back and forth, shifting the weight, whereas if you were hauling something solid, you wouldn't have that. So not too bad side to side movement, just because of those SumoSprings again. All right, so now I'm gonna speed up here, do some evasive maneuvers, kind of slam on the brakes a bit, see how it goes for us. So I am feeling a whole lot more side-to-side action now, going at a higher speed and trying to turn, especially with that water tank. Like I said, that water moving around will really shift your weight around. So definitely leaning a bit. Definitely good to know if you're going around any roundabouts. But other than that, the SumoSprings are doing a pretty good job. I'm sure without those, we'd be really leaning over to the side with that water tank in the way. All right, so now that we got our kit installed, I'm gonna give you some dimensions here, show you just where our bed is going to sit now that we have it installed. So on the rear here, we're sitting right at 40 inches, 40 and 1/4 inches here. So it did raise us up just a bit because we started out at 39, so it raises up 1 1/4 inches, which is gonna really help take up some of that space once we do drop a heavy load in there. So now we'll go up front, take a measurement up front, see exactly where we're at. So we were at 37 7/8 to start, and it looks like we are just exactly right there. So like I said before, it's real important just to keep your bed level, make sure that your lights aren't shining in the back of somebody else's car and that they're actually on the road helping you out, and then also just keeping the pressure off of the back and keeping it even with the front so that you're not wearing your tires out. All right, so now that we have the Roadmaster Active Suspension custom leaf spring kit installed and we got our weight back in the bed here, I'm gonna give you some dimensions. So before we added the weight in, we were sitting at 40 inches, and now we are sitting at 37 1/8. I do want to explain here that we do have the water tank sitting a little bit further back from the axle, so it's not spreading the weight as much on here, so that's why we're seeing a bigger sag. But I want to have it that way so that it gives us more of a rougher ride when we're going through the test course again. So now let's go up front, take another measurement and see where we're at. So we're sitting right at just under 38.5 inches. Now it did raise us just a little bit, but like I said, we did move that water tank a little bit further back from the axle, so it's not supporting the weight correctly like you'd want. So that is why you're gonna see a little bit of a lift, but we're gonna show you how that handles now. All right, so now I'm gonna take you through our bump course again, show you just how this system handles, give you that feel for what you're gonna get when you add this onto your truck. So I do want to stress along with this, we also do have those SumoSprings, but definitely feeling a little bit less bump in our seat here. We can go around, take some tight turns here. Like I said before, that water is going to be moving around, giving you off-center loads. Plus, we also have the weight of that tank more pushed towards the rear of the bed here, not centered on the axle, so that we can get a worst case scenario here. But doing turns fine. Now we'll go over to the other side of the lot here and then give you more of a worst case scenario. Maybe you're on the highway, maybe you're speeding around and need to make a quick maneuver. Maybe you have to stop real quick because somebody cut you off. And then also do some donuts, show you how that water tank handles when we're making really, really tight turns. All right, so we'll speed up here, do some tighter turns. Now I can definitely feel that this is keeping me more level, whereas before I was kind of leaning more. It's kind of pulling me around in my seat. Here we'll take a quick donut here. Just like I said, I'm not sliding out of my seat as I was before. I can take some really tight turns, and it's evening us back out so that you don't feel that weight pulling you down to one side, which especially can be very dangerous depending on how fast you're going. In my personal opinion, after having installed a few of these, compared to some of the other leaf spring enhancements that you can get, these are definitely the easier way to go. They do the job just the same as any other one, but require a whole lot less work. Really just slaps right on there with one bolt to fix and then just tighten down. So in my opinion, these are definitely the way to go. Now that we've gone over some of the features of it, let me show you how we installed it. All right, so to start off this installation, you're first gonna have to remove both rear tires. You're also gonna wanna lift from the frame instead of from the axle, because your rear axle is going to have to hang loose as you install this system. So I'm going to start by taking off the lug nuts here to get our vehicle off. All right, so right out of the box, your Roadmaster active suspension enhancement system here is going to be ready to go. It's going to be all put together. The only thing you're going to need to do to start this off is to just take off this bolt here. And to do that, you're going to need a 10 millimeter Allen wrench. Get that in there, and then a 19 millimeter wrench. Just undo that. Usually it's not on there too tight from the factory. You just pull that right out. And then we can take our whole kit here, take the hook and set it right up on the eyelet of our springs. And then also we're going to make sure that this hook is sitting flat with our leaf springs here, and it's not leaning one way or the other. We want it right on there, perfect, in line with our leaf springs. All right, so as you can see, our brackets here are not meeting the other end of our spring stack. So we're gonna have to loosen this up. So here's where we'll take our 15 millimeter socket, hold that in place, start loosening up our spring here. Now you can easily do this by hand, as you can see I'm doing. We're getting more space that we can start sliding this down. We just want to go until we can get that first hole on the other side of our spring stack.
All right, so now that we have our bracket far enough out that we can get our bolt through past the spring stack, we can stick our bolt through. I am putting the Allen key side on the inside of the vehicle just because it's a little bit easier to get to that with our wrench. And then I can just use the 19 millimeter socket on this side to hold the nut in place. So we're going to slide this through. We're going to make sure that we have our spacer in line with the holes. Got that through. Now we can add our nut. Just get that hand tight. And now we can start tightening it down. All right, so as we're tightening this down, and then also this will kind of move a little bit as we're tightening it down up top, I'm gonna try and keep it so that it's sitting right up here. So I'll show you that next as we're tightening up top.
All right, now that we're back up top, we're gonna tighten up here. So we're gonna start with this side and then we'll tighten down over on this side. So to start, we're going to use our 15 millimeter socket and just hold that nut in place. Like I said before, when we were down below, that you want to kind of make sure that this stays up against the spring stack, hitting the leaf springs, and then also check over here and make sure that your hook is still sitting flat and in line with your leaf springs, as it can move while you're moving stuff around and tightening everything down. So we're just going to hold this in place. As you can see, that gap's getting smaller here, so we're going to tighten that down all the way. All right, now we're going to go to the other side and tighten that down. This can be a little bit more of a challenge just because it's harder to get in here, but we're just going to spin this around. This can spin freely because we're just trying to tighten up this side of it, because these are two separate bolts with threads that thread into this spring here. So I'll hold that tight. You may need to use a wrench. By hand, we're doing pretty good here though. As you can see, we're getting closer and closer up these threads. All right, so now I'm at a point where it's getting real tough to try and do it by hand. So you can take a 24 millimeter wrench and just start tightening it down. We're gonna try and get it to where we can fit our chips in here. So your kit is going to come with a white and a black spacer chip, and that is how you're going to see what setting you're at. The white one will be the thinner, and that's what we're going to get to first. As you can see now, we're at a space where we can slide our spacer through. So this is the first setting for the Roadmaster active suspension leaf spring kit here. We're going to go up to the black spacer though. That's the full range of support. So we got a little bit, that's probably about 3 times the size of that white spacer. So we're going to keep tightening it up here until we get enough space between each spring for our black spacer. All right, so we've got this tightened down enough. We can slide our black spacer through, no problems. So we've got this fully set up. So the next thing we're gonna do is just tighten down these nuts right here just to keep it in place so that we don't have to worry about our spring over tightening or loosening up or anything like that. All right, so now that we got this all tightened down, we got our nuts right up against the spring here, we're gonna go over and do the same exact thing on the other side. All right, now that we got the other side done, all you gotta do is throw your tires back on and you're good to go. Well, I think that about does it with our Roadmaster active suspension heavy duty custom leaf spring enhancement kit on our 2018 Chevy Silverado 1500. My name's Kevin, thanks for watching.